Hello and welcome to Different Leaf, a show for new and experienced cannabis consumers. I'm Brit Smith. You ready for some witchy wisdom? This episode, we're getting into the spirit of Halloween by discussing how cannabis can help guide us through spiritual journeys with our guest, Shelley Johnson, better known on social media as a good witch. We've got a profile about Shelley in the full issue of Different Leaf, the magazine, which is out now at differentleaf.com. If you don't already follow her on Instagram at A Good Witch Official, Shelley is a retired occupational therapist in California who's used cannabis to relax and create since the 70s, and she found it to be helpful during her cancer journey in the 90s. As Shelley explains, the Good Witch persona for her started, as she says, by seeing herself as the wise old crone of her community. She felt empowered in her positive thinking as a woman using weed and wanted to spread her wisdom to others in search of guidance on how to grow into their best selves. So, during the pandemic, Shelley, the occupational therapist, started going live on Instagram daily at 4:20 to join what has now grown into nearly 2 million followers in smoking and passing along her cannabis elder wisdom, all while donning her iconic purple witch's hat. She'll spark up, grab her tarot cards, and discuss with her followers how they can bring more goodness to the world and how they can live a more intentional, self-directed life. Starting on page 32 in Different Leaf, the magazine, Shelley tells us how cannabis helps her to be more present and meditate on the kinds of energies that she wants to bring to the world. And how, as a woman in her 70s, she's now found a new audience to whom she can give her witchy wisdom over her afternoon joints. This episode, we're going to talk about how Shelley uses cannabis to connect with herself and others, how she helps her followers to consciously use weed to access their deeper selves, and a little later, she'll give us a daily witch tip for smokers. We learn what tarot is, and she even does a little stoned tarot reading just for us. We'll be right back to chat with a good witch, Shelley Johnson. Thank you so much for joining me, Miss Shelley. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you also, Brett.
So we have done a profile on you in Different Leaf, the magazine, in the full issue. And I wanted to get to know you a little bit more because I am just fascinated by your whole story of how cannabis plays a part in your spirituality and how that comes across to your followers on social media. Let's get into it. You started out as an occupational therapist. How have you come to be a good witch? When did cannabis start to play a part in your story?
Cannabis played a part of my story from age 14 on.
Oh.
I was so fortunate that my brother got me stoned before we went to church. And I never believed a word they said. It was a big fairy tale to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was alive in the 70s. I graduated high school in 71 and college in 76. Society was very fluid then.
Yeah.
And I just grew up with the weed and free love generation. And then I grew up at age 30, I quit doing everything. I had to get sober and get in touch with myself. And so I spent 17 fabulous years with myself, loving myself, and understanding really who I was until I got cancer. And once I got cancer, the medical model put me on so much medication. Granted, I had pain, but I was so over medicated that I said, I can't continue to live like this. And I went to the doctor and asked him how to get off of OxyContin. And he patted me on the head and said, take your medicine, young lady.
Yeah.
So I went home and Googled how to get off of OxyContin. And it said gradually, and pot helps. So I started smoking pot again. And I gradually got off the medicine. And I gradually got into art activities that I could still do regardless of my physical disability from cancer.
Right.
Couldn't go back to work, but I could still live and thrive. So I went back to school, smoking all the time. I even went back to church at this time, smoking all the time,
Huh.
and really had to redesign myself and recreate myself, no longer the occupational therapist, but still that divine entity that wants to express itself through me.
Mhm.
And I've been able to recognize that and recognize who I am and the part I play in it and move my life forward. I started selling my art, which got me out of pain on the street. And I went from a street vendor to internet vendor with the pandemic. And then my following started. And I'm just a therapist
Hmm.
telling people what works.
Wow, my gosh. But you're spreading all of this knowledge and wisdom to so many people now. And this persona of the witch, it feels like you've been through so much that this is like the new evolution through female empowerment. It feels like you've come a long way with this plant, who's also a
Well,
female.
archetypically, it's called the worship of the crone.
Oh.
There's always been a woman. Yeah, I'm a crone, I'm an old lady. But archetypically, we all in ministry rever the old crones because they speak wisdom.
Hmm.
And, just from a psychological perspective, that's part of what builds us culturally. And I'm happy to be it, you know?
Yeah.
It's given me a voice, and it's a voice that I've learned over years. As an occupational therapist, my job was to get people to do stuff that they didn't want to do.
Hmm.
And so I had to face my fears to say, hey, it's okay. We just do a little bit every day and we get better.
Yeah.
So I learned to scuba dive. They had to learn to dress themselves when half of their body works. And I had to learn to scuba dive.
Yeah.
We are all on different paths, but I had to learn to face my fears if I asked other people to face their fears. If I asked people to live with a disability and flourish, then I better live with my disability and flourish.
Hmm.
And I know it can be done.
So let me ask you about what the witch part really means to you, because I know that it's an acronym to you.
A witch is a woman in total control of herself. W, which is a woman in control. WITCH.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
granted, in the beginning, it was a marketing ploy because I was a street vendor. I was trying to sell my artwork on
Yeah.
the street. But when I decided to go on the internet, I don't mind embodying that because the way we think and feel is who we are.
Mm,
And I'm always growing to be the best that I can be, not only for me, but those I'm around.
mhm.
That's been my life journey.
And it sounds like your journey
And
through
also
cancer
to have,
changed that a lot too.
well, I had an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old, and they had a chance to see a mom be disabled
Mm.
or a mom be re-abled. And so I just recreated myself and showed them how to grow. And I have two very successful daughters that
That's
I am so
beautiful.
proud of. Go, girls.
Yeah, I love it. So let's talk about what cannabis brings you now that you've been through this transformation and how it helps you connect with the followers that you have. You have more than 1.5 million people who just on Instagram alone are interested
Well,
in hearing your wisdom every day. And every day you do like a 420 connection with them where you'll smoke, you'll roll a joint, and you'll read like a tarot card or give some witchy wisdom. How did you amass this following of folks that wanted to hear this wisdom from you?
I like me. I like hanging out with me. Other people like me too. And we all hang out together. My interest is to spend that good feeling around the world. And it's so much fun for me as a therapist to have this kind of an audience.
Mm.
I can, by being me, my demonstrable effect is I have people on a daily basis in Algeria, Romania, all around the world saying that this is a kind universe.
Yeah.
And if I can get people thinking first that this is a kind universe, then they'll look for it.
Hmm.
And when you look for it, your feelings are tied in with your thinking. And what are you looking for? A kind universe. So you start seeing it. And I have been able to, through this medium, take that out into the world and share it. So I want to do it every day. I love doing it. I get excited doing it. And you know what happens with that?
What?
That is building love and loving relationships. And the only thing real in this world is love.
Mm.
And I get to share that with whoever tunes in every single day, regardless of how they feel. It makes me feel great.
That, and I feel like when somebody else is feeling good about themselves, about the world, and they're focused on the positivity and sort of manifesting those positive things around them, it's really attractive. It's like a magnet. Like you can feel that energy. And I also think that cannabis helps me more closely attuned to people's energies. And when they're feeling good and I'm feeling high and I'm feeling good, there's like a real connection between me and them, you know?
One of the funnest things in life is braiding. I teach people how to meditatively braid,
Mm.
and then everybody's brain starts firing at the same level, and you can feel it in the room.
Yeah.
It is so much fun. I can do the same thing with sculpture. We can lose our mind in space and time and all vibe in the same way. And I can feel the same feeling in a room full of sculptors.
Love.
I love showing that to people. I love showing them how we're all connected. And we are. We are all connected. If you pick up on my vibe, aren't we all connected?
I agree. Yeah, I've always thought that you can always pick up on somebody's intention or somebody's whatever it is, their energy, their soul. I don't know, but I feel like we did it more as young kids and we didn't judge ourselves for it, but we just had that intuition, that gut instinct.
And that's the way we learn. We relax, enjoy, learn, and grow. Pot helps me relax.
Mm.
It helps me slow down my thinking. It allows me to enjoy myself. And when I'm in a relaxed state, enjoying myself, I learn about myself and I grow up.
Yeah.
This is a braid that puts your body in the perfect position when you're sitting down and relaxed. Your shoulders are relaxed and you belly breathe just by the way you hold this. So our bodies are biochemical charges, and we have to do things to change the vibration and the regulation of it. So with this, I affect the autonomic nervous system, get you go into a relaxed state
Hmm.
and do something without doing it or do it without thinking about it.
Yeah.
You can braid, but it allows you to become the observer of your mind. And if you're doing this repetitively
Yeah.
and you think a negative thought, who is that?
It's your judging mind, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So what you do is you say that it could be your judging mind. It could be the voice of your mother. It could
Yes,
be the
usually
voice
is.
of the priest. It could be the voice of your sibling. But you have to spend time to say, oh, where'd that come from?
Hmm.
That's not me. I'm getting rid of it. What I